Well, today on a different bike, a little different setup. Things wobbling around like crazy, but we'll give it a try. Maybe the stabilization feature will be better than I thought. Got this thing, everything's wiggling around. Love this shaky motor. It's like a relaxation vibration chair while you're out riding. Just gotta try not to fall asleep. All right. Looky here, we have a historical marker in the middle of nowhere. We are not anywhere right now. We have no idea where this is or where we are. But what we do know is that this camera is recording everything from this way back, which if we take a quick look here, we can see that someone's got a little off-road shortcut to this historical monument, which is, I guess, an easy way to get a quick refresher on what happened here a long time ago. We have a nice kind of, how's it, origami. Must have melted in the sun. And some beautiful flowers and weeds. Nice warning about the bridge icing up. It's a good point of evaluation to look at this historical marker kind of just gently tossing around in the wind. It is coming from behind us in the direction we're going, so I didn't even know it was windy today, and there's not much wind anyway, but just good to see what's going on. Yeah, take another quick little look at the bike. I'm not sure if that's straight or not. This is my second Harley. The first one was the Road King, which I really liked, and in some ways I liked it more than this one, but this is the one that caught my eye whenever I was first looking at Harleys, to think, if I ever wanted one, this is the one that I'd get. So what do we have here? We have the Texas Historical Commission of 1994 have put a refurbished or repaired historical plaque here. I'm not sure how in the world that would have cracked it that way, and thanks to some welding job they came and put it back together. But this here is talking about a cow camp massacre on Hondo Creek. Now, we've covered some sites near Hondo already. I believe the Vandenberg and some other right directly inside of Hondo. Don't remember the names off the top of my head. I'll post those right up here. There we go. Okay, so basically looking around, there's Hondo Creek right down that way. You can see the sign, and we'll cross over it shortly after we read the sign in more detail. Looks like some people put some, I think these are cedar trees, and that's another kind of video that I'll get to eventually when I do a little bit more research on some of that information. But it is interesting that as you cross certain regions or locales within the Texas Hill Country where we're at, that the trees just change. And so these trees you don't see in the Hondo area at all that I've seen so far, but they're here, and we're not that far from Hondo. In fact, we're on the Hondo Creek, so it's the same body of water, but up here these trees, whether they're natural or they were transplanted here, don't know. That's the part I'll be looking up later. But the Hondo Creek does flow this direction. Okay, so that's north, that's south, and as it rains up anywhere up north, all the rivers up there from the hill country are going to fill this Hondo Creek, and it will make its way south, and the tributary connects to one of the larger rivers downstream. I forget which one right now, but maybe I'll put that right here somewhere. Yeah. So what do we got here? During the mid 1800s, the Texas Hill Country was the site of many hostile encounters, some deadly. Yeah, if you've seen the other videos, you know that most of these signs talk about the Comanches being these hostile actors. It's a long point of view on why that is, but we'll get into that right this second. Between pioneer immigrants whose permanent settlements ran counter to area Native Americans accustomed to unrestrained hunting and gathering. And eventually I don't think I'm gonna have a choice but to kind of dig into some of my Native American research in Texas and kind of break this down and say, okay, for this time frame we're looking at here, 1866, who was here in 1866? Which tribe was doing the ebb and flow and fighting with themselves, or not themselves, but each tribe fighting each other? But when I say in themselves, are both Native Americans or indigenous tribes, versus also fighting who's coming from the east over towards the west, which be the English settlers, the European settlers, and then we've got some other Europeans coming from the south, coming up north from Mexico region and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a collision point of a lot of interesting dynamics that are going on here. So I may or may not put something in this video that will just give kind of like a brief historical lineage of who probably was here in 1866. But anyway, if that's not there, I'll edit that part out. That's miracle of technology. Alright, so between pioneer immigrants whose permanent settlements ran counter to the area Native Americans accustomed to unrestrained hunting and gathering, we read that. One such encounter occurred near this site on January 27, 1866. And now, interesting, most of these historical plaques have references to like a general thing, but this is a very specific day. Somebody really, I guess, thought this was important enough that this deserved its own plaque, that on this day, January 27 in 1866, which I guess it's like right after the Civil War, somewhere around there. 3 young men from the area: August Roth, age 19, George Miller, age 16, and Hubert Waynand, age 12, youngster, left their homes near D'Hanis. Oh, there we go with D'Hanis. So interesting. And we saw that there was that fort that we covered in one of the last videos. In fact, the last video. And I wonder if they were coming up from there. But let's see, how many miles is that from here? Probably, I would say it's a full day's ride. I mean, it's probably 20 miles or so, something like that. And I'm assuming that that's about as far as they'd go in a day. I guess they could ride a little bit faster than that, farther than that in a day. But I'm just guessing that they were looking, not just racing. But anyway, so yeah, they left their homes near D'Hanis to recover stray livestock, an important task for the area farmers and ranchers. They set up camp on Hondo Creek and began the cow hunt. Okay, so they probably raced up here, imagining that they probably went this direction. They're probably looking for water, because all animals are going to need water. So let's follow the the Hondo Creek, and which is right down there. We'll check it out over that bridge there. And so yeah, they were staying the night. So probably was after a full day's ride just to even get here from D'Hanis. And they have not found the cows yet. All right, so before they can officially start their cow hunt, they are camping right over here somewhere. Now, on the morning of the 3rd day, now, okay, this is where I need to punch up my calculator and say, so is that on the January the 24th? Or, well, no. Anyway, let's just read on here. But anyway, the 27th, I guess, is when the massacre occurred. Now, this is leading up to it, so this would have been prior to January 27th. Not that that particular point is very important at this moment, but let's just see. On the morning of the 3rd day, Roth and Waynand were returning to camp when suddenly Miller appeared running toward them with 8 Indians in pursuit. Now, I can't even imagine what that really feels like in real life, but I know I've been chased in my lifetime by people that were pursuing me to like steal my bicycle or things along those lines, and I know that it was not a very pleasant feeling. The difference there being is that I might lose my bicycle, but I wasn't scared about losing my life. Now, I'm pretty sure these young men were quite aware that any direct encounter with the indigenous folks was going to mean a direct battle and subsequent death if they didn't do something drastic. So 8 of them were pursuing Miller, and Miller was the 16-year-old, so the middle of the bunch. Unable to untie their horses in time to escape on horseback, both Roth and Miller ran for their lives up a hill. Waynand attempted his escape on horseback. So I'm guessing when Williams was running back, Miller was running from the Indians. He was on foot, so wherever they started the pursuit, they were trying to get back to the horses so that then they could escape, but they were unable to, except Waynand, which was the 12-year-old. He was able to escape on the horse. So not sure if he was able to untie it or something else, but the encounter resulted in Miller's death, and Waynand's capture, and Roth's historic escape. Heroic escape. The encounter resulted in Miller's death, Wainen's capture and Roth's heroic escape. Wainen was never seen nor heard from again. A scouting party later found Miller's mutilated body, but were unable to apprehend the attackers. Contemporary author A.J. Sowell wrote of these events in his book, Early Settlers and Indian Fighters of Southwest Texas. So there you have it, the Cow Camp Massacre on Hondo Creek. We will now move our way over to Hondo Creek. Well, it looks to me like there's two Hondo Creeks. So we're going to go back to that Hondo Creek, and then we're going to go back to the other Hondo Creek, so we can get a better perspective of what's going on here. So they were camping here after an all-day ride from D'Hanis Fort. And so here's one part of the Hondo Creek. I don't know if it loops around. I guess I could check the map. It doesn't show me the creek from here. But this is a pretty exciting looking creek there. It's got some water in it. It's got some canyons. So I'm wondering if they said they were up on a hill. I wonder if this is the hill. There's some people down there in the water. So I guess it could have happened in a location like this, or any number of these around here. I don't know if they specifically pointed out where it happened. In the original story, it's not on the plaque, but it might be in that book. I might have to just find me a copy of that book. Turn this big boy around. Alright, so now we're going to come back this way, and we're going to cross Hondo Creek twice. If I zoom in, yeah, it doesn't show me on this map anything interesting. But it could be that this just kind of loops around over there. Does a horseshoe bend, and that this cutout is just in that section between. So we'll zip on over to the other side and see if there's anything interesting. There's the plaque kind of right in between the two. So it could be that the hill is actually that part right behind. Maybe that's the whole point, is that the hill where those people were in the water, I guess that part that just would be overlooking the Hondo Creek from that vantage point is where this all happened. And that was the hill. Yeah, because look, this is a lot lower. The road is a lot lower to the creek than on the other side. And there's some interesting walls and fabricated, I don't know, dams or something. But yeah, so going over that way looks like it's most likely the area that they're referring to is right behind where that sign was. So we look around the rest of this area, and of course, as soon as you pass that, it's all cleared out. It's turned into farmland. It's flat. You can see the hills out in the distance and stuff, so it gets real pretty. So unfortunately, two of those boys didn't make it. One did. And I I guess that's why we have the story and the subsequent book written about it. So I'm gonna see if I can find that book and get a little more detail on that. Hey, there goes Lil Hinny right there. Alright, now we're getting into Tarpley. And we will go west. Go west, young man. Who are you calling a young man? Hey, that's for sale. Interesting. Edwards Ranch Realty. Free Wi-Fi. This is for sale also. Huh. Different realtor. Everybody, ice for sale. Everyone's selling around. Everyone's selling everything around here. From ice to the property that sells ice. That one's not for sale yet. That's not for sale. Alright, here's the water flow in Hondo Creek. It looks, you know, it's not a lot, but it's not dry. So, I guess I don't really know what it should be. At that place I used to stop and get drinks and you know, sodas and stuff like that on a hot day's ride, but it's closed up. This car is going to slow me down. So I'm going to slow down out here so that I can go around the corners a little bit better. But see, I've already kind of ruined it. That was a nice spot to go a little bit faster around the corner. Such is the dilemma of riding with cagers. Slow curve ahead. 30 mph. Let's see if we can slow down to 30. Oh my gosh, we're going 60. Oh no. What's gonna happen? For me. Here's a historical marker. Well, you know, maybe this will be the Sabinal River. Maybe this will be the place. Well, let's go back and take a better look at that. Alright, so this is Sabinal River, and it's got some beautiful homes right on it. It looks picturesque as can be, it's just beautiful. There's some water out there, there's big trees, those cypress trees. Gotten some water there recently. So we got the Hondo Creek, the Sabinal River. And then we have a historical marker somewhere up ahead. Let me get a better look at that. Very pretty. Very pretty indeed. Now let's find that historical marker. Love the trees around here. And there's a road, Sabinal Road. I've never been on that road. That's a gravel road, so look at those houses, cabins, barns. Very, very old. Some cedar trees. Oaks. And here we go with another historical marker. Just banging this camera up. Alright, well, let's get over here and take a look-see. Now this, I believe, this sign was installed for the, what must have been a group of giraffe riders that used to roam the plains a long time ago. Because this sign is way the heck up there. It's like, need a ladder. Well, what's wrong with this guy? You just go all over both sides of the road. He owns the thing. Very interesting. Very dangerously interesting. But this guy is not going to deter me, at least at this point, from counting all of the beer bottles and cans and plastic and styrofoam cups that are littered on the ground here. There's a lot of traffic out here today. Well, let's see if I can read the sign without getting my eyes blasted in the sun. Man, this is a this is going to be the most interesting angle. Well, first let me make sure that I'm even recording video. My battery's still on. Yep, it's barely still on, but the battery's almost dead. Alright, so this is the State Historical Survey Committee of Texas. The sign, the plaque here put in 1967. And this is the site of the Old Taylor School, founded in 1883, named for Henry Taylor. He, Gid Thompson, and other early settlers gave land and founded school. First trustees were D. Harper, H. Kennedy, H. Taylor. First one-room frame building had homemade desks and recitation benches. So I guess these desks were homemade because they didn't have factories in China shipping them over just yet. After it burned, 2 more were built before consolidation with UTOPIA, which is what, about 4 miles down that way to our left, in 1937. So this is a lot newer than some of the other historical markers we've been looking at, which are generally in the early 1800s to the mid 1800s. This is in 1930. Well, this is founded in 1883, so I guess it's in the same territory. But when they blended or consolidated with UTOPIA, that was 1937. So Miss Sue Harper, Frank Robinson, and Miss Mattie Noel listed among the outstanding teachers. This was Community Center, Weekly Literary Society, Sunday School. Church met here. This marker given by and in memory of former pupils. So that's really interesting, because you can actually go back through here past these beer cans and you can see the foundation. It looks like a cement foundation. of what I am assuming was at least one of those schools that's referenced in that plaque. So basically right here, this I could only imagine had been cleared out. Looked much more beautiful. Some of these trees might have been the original ones that were there at the time. Like that one way back there, possibly. Maybe that one over there. Pretty sure those cactus weren't there. And the view they had across this road, which I'm sure at that time was not paved. I'm assuming that the school faced this direction. They had this nice picturesque view in front of them. Alright, well, got a little bonus historical 2-for-1 this weekend. Hope you all enjoyed that. At this point, I think I'm going to head back to Utopia, see if there's any more signs about their school consolidation program, and get some gas and head back and start planning the next trip in the future. Lots of traffic today. Information, please. 99.5 still. 1,400 feet above sea level. But it is founded right on the Sabinal River, and if you look around, the views it has are very, by Texas standards, spectacular. As you can see, these trucks pulling out with boats. I mean, that means people are enjoying time on the water. There's some little place to explore down that way. Oh, it's the cemetery. Hey, there's Mega Van. Interesting information there. Nice wheels, nice wheels. Get some of those. Just mow that dust, sir. Mow it down. Pretty sure there's historical sign. Oh, there's some right there. I guess I should go take a little look. Looks like the Alamo. Let's go see if there's anything of interest here on these signs. Let me go park in the shade. See, my temperature's already coming down. It's down to 100.4. Almost cold. Should have brought a sweater. Alright, what do we got here? We've got the Governor's Community Achievement Award for enhancing the quality of life. That's awesome. 1990. Presented to Utopia from Rick Perry for conserving and enhancing the natural resources of Texas. Okay, great. And let's see what else we got here. Well, let's start with this one. by the Historical Survey Committee. Utopia, after an 1866 Indian raid, must have been the Comanches again, on their nearby Little Creek home. R.H. Kinchilo, I don't know, and family moved here, built a home, and in 1873, a two-story rock store, So was it a store that sold rocks, or was it a store that was made out of rocks? They platted town as Montana, giving land for churches, schools, and community square. Post office moved from Waresville in 1883. Methodists had church here before town was founded. Baptists organized their church in 1888. Church of Christ congregation relocated here in 1902. So a lot of churches came in quick. New name praising climate was chosen by Postmaster George Barker. Utopia. I guess Utopia is the climate. Okay? That was before climate change, right? Town is now a center for ranching, retirement, vacationing. So if you want to ranch, you want to retire, or just vacation, this could be the place for you. You've got a general store, sales and service, Brody's Garage, Lunchbox Eatery, Realty. Got an empty, looks like it used to be a gas station. There's Lost Maples, probably a restaurant, I'm not sure. Well, what about this one? Early settlery, take two. Early history of the Sabinal River Valley. In 1790, so now we're like way before 1866 raid, the Spanish government commissioned Colonel Juan de Ugalde to drive out Apaches and Comanches. Now we have some names. So at that time, in the 1790s, we had the Apaches and the Comanches who had been depredating Spanish settlers in South Texas. The final battle was fought 4 miles below present-day Utopia that summer. Over the next decades, the valley reverted to being a haven for roving bands of hostile Apaches, Comanches, Lipans, and Kickapoos, discouraging white settlement. So this to me is very helpful. So this tells me a lot of information that I was looking for in the previous stop, which is, these in 1790, up until 1839, basically we're talking about these bands, the tribes, Apaches, Comanches, Lipans, which were Apache Lipan. So I guess the other Apaches were the other Apaches, but we'll get into that later. And then Kickapoos, which are up towards the Brackaville area near Kickapoo Caverns and all that Nueces River area. June 10th, 1839, a party of Texas Rangers under John C. Jack Hayes and Juan N. Seguin pursued a band of Comanches into the valley where they destroyed so battery just died on the GoPro, so we're going to come finish the rest of this recording on this camera. Let's see now. Yeah, so here we go. So what we're reading right now was about on June 10, 1839, a party of Texas Rangers under John C. Jack Hayes and Juan N. Seguin pursued a band of Comanches into the valley where they destroyed newly deserted villages. Hayes Rangers, assisted by 30 Mexicans under Captain Flores, encountered the Comanches again on June 24, 1841, killing 8 and taking 2 prisoners about 8 miles south of present-day Utopia. So, going back to my previous video talking about when they talk about these situations of Indian raids and they don't mention them, but look at the year 1866, and then you look at this one and we're talking about the 1840s going into the 1850s. We're talking about Comanches at that point in time. If we talk about earlier 1790s, we're talking about Apaches, Comanches, Lipons, Kickapoos, all together, taking turns depending on what's going on at the time. So, interesting point, interesting perspective to put things into more perspective, interesting perspective. Now, in the summer of 1852, Captain William Ware, a veteran of Battle of San Jacinto, accompanied by son John Negro, Henry Fuller, and neighbors J. Mills, Webb, and J. Davenport from Cibolo Creek in Bexar County, so way over there towards San Antonio, brought horses, 750 head of cattle, and ox-pulled wagons filled with seed and implements, and settled on the Sabinal River about a mile south of the present-day Utopia. So we'll be passing through that shortly, and there's a bunch of beautiful farmlands you'll see. Next to the, we'll see part of it because the other camera's dead. Next to arrive in October 1852 were Gene M. Thompson, 4 children, and A.N. Anglin. Soon others came. I'm not going to read all the names, but you'll be able to see that in the video. By 1856, a store post office was built in Waresville by C. Durbin. Now, Waresville, I'm assuming it's around here somewhere, don't know exactly. During the early years, bands of Comanches, Apaches, Kickapoos frequently attacked poorly defended settler homes. The best documented attack was the Thompson-Anglin settlement on the West Sabinal River, aka Anglin Creek, in the summer of 1853. Following the unsuccessful attack by about 25 warriors, a posse of settlers tracked them for several days and killed 8 on the Leona River near present-day Uvalde. So, wow, that's quite a distance to be chasing around. But anyway, I'm glad I stopped to look at this because that information, I've probably passed this sign a dozen times and I never really paid attention to the details. So there you have it. I guess I'm going to go ahead and just put this back where it came from. And we'll keep going. We'll see you guys next time on Remember Tomorrow.